Hi everyone, in the previous video we have made the hanging pot and now it's time to make the oven mitt to complete our kitchen set. Let's see what we need for this kind of project. To make the oven mitt you'll need the pattern that you can download for free, and you'll find the link in the description box below. Are 2 pages that you paste, and after that cut your pattern. Now it's time to cut the fabric. I'm using cotton fabric and the print one will be the outside of the oven mitt. We need 2 pieces for the outside and 2 pieces for the lining. And of course some isolation. I'm using 2 layers because I need some protection, but we need 2 pieces. And to finish the oven mitt we'll need some bias tape. Now it's time to create a quilting pattern, and I'm doing this on the 2 pieces of the outside of the oven mitt, and I'm making some lines in 2 different directions to create some squares. The measurements of these squares, it doesn't matter. You can make the squares smaller or bigger. You can make it how you prefer. Now it's time to assemble the oven mitt, and for this I'm taking 1 piece of lining fabric. The right side of the fabric must be down, and on top of this I'm putting the isolation, and of course on top of these 2 layers I'm putting the outside of my oven mitt, that is this print fabric. And of course now I'm fixing everything with pins, and I will stay very carefully that every edge is equal. Now let's go on the sewing machine and we'll sew on the top of these lines that we have made before. After you have finished sewing this half of the oven mitt, you must make another one in the same way. And are my 2 pieces, and now I will cut the excess of isolation all the way around, and of course we must iron everything. Before we assemble the 2 pieces, we must finish the upper part using bias binding. To finish the upper part, I will open the bias binding and I will fold the edge half centimeter, 1 centimeter inside. And I will put everything in this way. Of course, I will fix everything with pins. When you arrive at the end, cut the bias binding bigger and fold the edge. Now you can sew the bias binding, and after that you must do the same with the other piece. And this is how it looks until now, and to make my loop I'm using the same bias binding. I'm cutting a couple of centimeters, I'm folding in 2, and I will close everything with a straight stitch. I'll put this loop 3 centimeters from the edge on the outside of the oven mitt. I'm putting a pin and I will sew to fix everything. To finish the upper part, I'm folding the bias binding like you see, and I will sew on the outside of the oven mitt. Now we have two pieces and it's time to assemble the oven mitt. To make this, we must put the two pieces, the two linings face to face, and before we finish with the bias binding, we must sew all the way around close to the edge to fix everything. And this is how it looks after I've sewn all the way around. And now it's time to sew the bias binding, and for this I'm doing the same thing that I have done for the upper part. Open the bias binding and fold the edge half centimeter, 1 centimeter inside and fix with pins all the way around. After you have sewn all the way around, it's time to make some cuts on the curved lines. This is very important to make this kind of cuts because the fabric must open a little bit. But please take care to not cut the sewing. Before I've said that you must fold the edge of the bias binding inside before you start sewing, but it must be opened in this way because when it's open we can cover better the raw edge of the oven mitt. Now I will open the seaming a little bit, and in this way I will open the folded edge of the bias binding. After that, you must sew to fix the bias binding better on the oven mitt, and you must do the same on both sides. Now it's time to sew the other part of the bias binding. We must fold the edge inside, like you see. And now close the other part of the bias binding in this way, and of course fix everything with pins. This is how it looks, my oven mitt, after I've sewed a bias binding all the way around. And now my kitchen set is complete. I hope that you enjoy this kind of video. If you have any question, you can make it on the comment section down below. And see you the next time. Bye bye.